Alright, welcome back. Following on from the fuel pump, obviously I haven't put it back in yet because I want to take off Airbox, have a look at the filter and then get down to the spark plugs. Yeah, I hope people enjoyed the video on the fuel pump. It was quite an exciting one to do. I was quite surprised by the state of the actual fluid that came out. How rusty and yucky it was, but right, so that's the air filter. Again, in pretty good condition. This one, it wasn't replaced that long ago. So you've got bolt at the front, 10mm. Need to unscrew one of the main injector plugs. Again, for now, just put that screw back in. Just get one of the rear hoses. And another one here. And then it is basically just undoing the clamps to the injector bodies underneath. And again, should be the same the other side. Right, they're unscrewed. What it is obviously you can't get to the middle one, so what they've done is they've actually done the bolt through the first one into the second one. And it just pulls off. Right, main thing to remember, just before you disconnect, there's a plug. Just there. So that one needs to be pulled out. There we go, and that's that one out. So now that should lift off. So just basically lift off and pull backwards. And one more hose underneath. And that's removal of the airbox. Right, now you can actually get to your spark plugs. So you can see your injectors, and then your stick coils, and your spark plugs. So I'm just going to take out one by one. So just move the wiring to one side. Obviously check all these hoses just to make sure there's no splits, no leaks. Obviously remembering where everything went. So one thing I want to do as well is, throttle's a bit sticky, so I'm going to look at that, have a look at the adjustment on the cable, give that a clean up and a lube up. But say first job, I basically just want to have a look at the spark plugs. So to start with, we're just going to disconnect one at a time. Check the condition. out with the plug. Alright, so let's get the first one out. But actually not as bad as I expected, so I'm just going to give these a clean up for now. Wire brush, but say literally do one at a time, just so you make sure that you get all the plugs and the connectors back in exactly the same place. So just give them that quick clean up. That's actually a lot better. I know they actually still work. So back in with the first one. First one done. Back in with the stick coil. You'll hear it click. And then literally reconnect. And then you do exactly the same for the other three. So I'm going to whack all those out, just give them a quick clean round, and join me again in a few minutes. Right, just putting the last one back in. They've all been checked. I've gapped them as well. Obviously check your manual for specific gaps. But you basically use the same principle on any motorcycle. That's the last one back in place. And connected. So that's basically all the spark plugs checked, gapped, put back in. Yes, I'm going to get people saying, why don't you just buy a new set? These actually weren't fitted that long ago, and I know that they're okay. So I just decided to give them a clean up. Obviously when I do a full service on it next, well, which will be coming up probably a couple of months down the line, he'll have a full service. I'll change all the plugs out. Next, I just want to have a quick look at the injectors and the linkages, and obviously that throttle, give that a bit of a grease up and an oil. Right, all I'm using is basic carb cleaner. Slight adjustment on the screws here. That's a bit better. that seems to have sorted it out. If you can see now, it was basically just adjustment on both the pull and push cables, so that seems a lot better. Alright, while everything's out, I may as well actually it's probably easier to reinstall the fuel pump now. Hopefully you can see in there, there's the actual hose I've just connected and tightened up, and that's the hose that comes out from the side of it, which is then connected to the pipe here, which is connected to the electrical unit that fits on the side of the airbox. Right, so all I've got to do now is push that back in place and then bolt back in. So I should have 6 bolts in total, 2 for each side, and then obviously the ones that I took out from the outer side, they need to go back in. So that's 1 in, 3 more to go. And then just these 2. Right, and that's the fuel pump all back in, all bolted up. So all that's left to do now is, right, the other thing, let's obviously connect these back up again. That's the first injector. That's the other one, and that's the fuel pump connected. So all the electrical connections are back together, so we just need to get the airbox back in. Right, it's now just a case of reassembly. I've done all the jobs underneath I wanted to do, so back on with the airbox, so slide that through. Obviously remembering the connections. So you've got one, where was it? Right, you've got one right up underneath, which is the vacuum. That's connected. Onto this side. Onto the middle. Obviously not forgetting the electrical connection around the side that controls the airflow, and basically just push that back on, and then tighten the clamps back up. As I said, the beauty with these is obviously you're only screwing up or unscrewing one, but it's actually connected to the middle. So each one screw does 2. That's on. And then it's just the bolt at the top. And then it's back in with the filter. There we go. So that's all connected. Just have a quick check, make sure everything's connected back up again. Everything's plugged into where it should be. We've checked all the hoses, all the connections. That's all plugged back in, bolted down. So that's basically it. So still a few more bits to do on this, but I'll continue with that in the next episode. Other jobs left to do. I've still got the calipers basically to pull off, have a look at, check, clean, put back together again, front and rear. Still got to clean the fuel tank out, and a few little bits in the tail unit. So I'll continue that on in the next episode. So I hope that was helpful. Hope you're enjoying the actual series on the Busa. It's a change. I haven't worked on the Busa for some time, so it's actually nice to get back on it and do a few bits of maintenance on it. But as I say, I'm still deliberating. I kind of like to keep it, but as I say, I really need to have a think, a few discussions, etc. I have got some plans in my head. As I say, maybe changing out the yokes and going to sort of comfy bars, just so it's a little bit higher and a little bit easier to ride. And if I do decide, then I have got a plan for the tail unit and also the exhaust. But as I say, I'm thinking about it at the moment. So thanks for watching, and join me again next time. Cheers, bye.